There is one thing a woman will never, and I mean never, reveal to a man unless she is completely, deeply, and undeniably in love with him. And no, it is not her phone password. It is something far more intimate, far more exposing, and far more emotionally powerful than most men ever realize when it happens. The truth is, many men miss it completely. In fact, a 2023 study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that nearly 78% of men fail to recognize the exact moment a woman becomes emotionally committed. Think about that for a second. That means there could be a woman in your life right now who has already handed you the most sacred parts of her heart, and you still have no idea what you are holding. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal could completely change the way you see love, trust, and female emotional attachment forever. And the final sign, the one I am saving for the end, that is the one that separates a woman who simply likes you from a woman who would fight for you, choose you, and emotionally anchor herself to you in a way most men never experience. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Have you ever looked back at a relationship and realized you missed the exact moment everything changed? Missed the moment she became softer with you, quieter with you, more real with you? Missed the shift when she stopped testing your strength and started trusting your presence? Or maybe you are in that situation right now. Maybe you feel that she is giving you more of herself, but you cannot quite explain what it is. That confusion, that subtle feeling that something deeper is happening beneath the surface, that is exactly why this conversation matters. Because women rarely say, "I love you," with words first. Most of the time, they say it through what they risk revealing, through what they quietly place in your hands and hope you are emotionally mature enough not to drop. Here is what most men are never taught. Women do not fall in love the way men often imagine. Men tend to picture love as a dramatic confession, a grand emotional speech, a cinematic moment that is impossible to miss. But real female love rarely arrives that way. It slips through the cracks. It leaks out in subtle moments, ordinary-looking moments that carry enormous emotional meaning underneath. And if you keep brushing past those moments, minimizing them, misreading them, or treating them like nothing, something painful starts to happen. She does not stop loving you all at once. That is not how women emotionally withdraw. Instead, she slowly begins pulling those pieces of herself back, not because she wants to punish you, but because she no longer feels safe being fully seen. A woman who feels emotionally unseen does not always keep arguing forever. At some point, she retreats, quietly, gently, until one day you realize she is still there physically, but emotionally, the version of her that once opened to you is gone. So in this video, I am going to walk you through the exact things a woman only shares when she is genuinely, deeply, and fully in love. And as you listen, I do not want you thinking in theory. I want you thinking of one specific woman, one real connection, one real situation, because chances are you have already seen one of these signs, and you did not even realize how much it meant. Let us start with the one that catches most men completely off guard. When a woman shares her childhood wounds with you. And I do not mean the polished version. Not the cute little memory about her first bike. Not the harmless story she has repeated so many times that it no longer carries emotional weight. I mean the real stories. The ones that still catch in her throat. The ones that make her pause in the middle of a sentence. The ones she has hidden, softened, or edited for almost everyone else in her life. When she tells you about growing up in chaos, about feeling invisible, about the times she cried in silence because no one around her felt safe enough to hear her pain, that is not casual conversation. That is emotional exposure at the deepest level, and you need to understand what that really means. Those stories are not just old memories, they are emotional fingerprints. They explain why she loves the way she does, why she gets defensive when she is hurt, why she pulls away when she feels abandoned, and what she secretly longs for in love, but is often too afraid to ask for directly. Psychologically, this is a form of vulnerability-based bonding. When someone reveals unresolved emotional pain, they are not merely describing the past. They are quietly asking a question about the future. They are asking, without saying the words, "Is it safe to be fully seen by you?" And this is exactly where most men make the wrong move. They hear her pain and instantly go into fix-it mode. They try to solve it, shrink it, or rationalize it away. They say things like, "That was a long time ago," or "You should not let that affect you now." But that is not what she needs. In that moment, she is not asking for solutions. She is asking for presence. She is asking whether you can stay emotionally steady in the presence of her truth. Because when a woman shows you her wounds, she is not looking for a mechanic. She is looking for a witness. She is looking for a man who can listen without interrupting, understand without correcting, and hold space without rushing her through her pain. And if you can do that, if you can stay present without trying to rewrite her story, you create something incredibly rare in her world: emotional safety. And once a woman feels emotionally safe with you, the entire relationship changes. Picture this for a second. It is late at night. The energy has softened. The conversation slows down. And then out of nowhere, she opens up about a season in her life where she felt completely alone. After she says it, there is a pause. That pause matters more than most men realize. That pause is not a game. It is not manipulation. It is a moment of emotional truth. She is watching, consciously or unconsciously, to see what kind of man you are going to be with her pain. Do you brush past it? Do you joke? Do you change the subject because it feels too heavy? Or do you lean in with calm presence and say something simple like, "That must have been really hard for you"? That one sentence, when spoken with sincerity, can deepen her trust in you more than 100 compliments ever could, because she will remember that moment, not only what you said, but how safe you made her feel while she was saying it. In her mind, that becomes proof. Proof of whether you are a man she can emotionally rest with or a man she must keep guarding herself from. And while you are listening to this, I want you to think honestly. Has a woman ever shared something truly real with you, and you did not recognize how vulnerable that moment was? How did you respond? Because that awareness changes everything. And if this is already opening your eyes, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Love, Lies, and Reality. Because what comes next goes even deeper. The next thing she shares when she is truly in love might surprise you, because it is not about her past. It is about how she sees herself right now, her insecurities about her body. And before you dismiss this as something small, understand the emotional weight behind it. Women live in a world where confidence is often performed. Filters, makeup, lighting, angles, polished photos, curated moments, all of it becomes part of the armor. So, when a woman puts that armor down in front of you, when she sits there in her comfortable clothes, no performance, no mask, and quietly says, "I do not feel pretty today," that is not attention seeking. That is trust. That is her showing you the version of herself she fears may not be enough. Psychologically, this is tied to self-image vulnerability. She is revealing the gap between how she appears to the world and how she actually feels inside. She is exposing one of her most fragile internal layers. What she is really asking is, if I show you the parts of myself I struggle to love, will you still see me as worthy? And your response matters more than most men understand. If your reassurance feels generic, forced, or dismissive, she will feel the emptiness in it immediately. But if you look at her with real warmth and say something like, "I wish you could see yourself the way I see you right now," and you mean it, that lands differently. That stays with her. Because most women are not searching for a man who thinks they are flawless. They are searching for a man who sees their flaws clearly and still chooses them without hesitation. And when she realizes you are that kind of man, another layer of her guard falls away. Now here is where things get even deeper, because the next thing she shares does not even look like sharing at first. In fact, most men miss it completely, and that is her silence. Yes, silence. And I know that sounds strange at first because most people are conditioned to fear silence, to fill it, to escape it, to fix it. But think about this. Have you ever been around someone where the silence felt awkward, where you felt like you had to keep the conversation alive every second just to stop the connection from dying? Now compare that with being beside someone where you can sit together in total silence and still feel calm, warm, and deeply connected. That difference is emotional safety. When a woman is truly in love, she stops performing around you. She stops feeling like she has to entertain, impress, or maintain the energy at all times. She lets herself simply exist, and that is not boredom, that is peace. That is trust in one of its purest forms. Real silence is not empty. It is full of comfort, full of presence, full of unspoken emotional ease. But most men sabotage these moments because they misread them. They start wondering, is she bored? Did I do something wrong? Should I say something? And in trying to fix a moment that was never broken, they interrupt something deeply meaningful. So the next time you are sitting with her and there is a calm silence between you, do not rush to fill it. Stay in it, feel it, because if she is relaxed in silence with you, you are not losing her attention. You are holding her trust. And what comes next builds on that trust in a way that becomes even more revealing. Because the next thing she starts sharing is not about the present at all. It is about the future. More specifically, whether you exist inside it. This is where things become incredibly subtle, and it is exactly why so many men overlook it. A woman who is unsure about you keeps her language emotionally distant. She says things like, "we'll see," or "maybe," or "I do not know what I am doing next week." There is hesitation. There is space. There is an emotional exit built into the way she speaks. But when a woman is deeply in love, her language changes. It becomes we, it becomes us, it becomes our. And this shift usually does not come in some dramatic declaration. Most of the time it slips out casually, almost like she does not even notice she is doing it. She might say, "We should go there next summer," or "You would love my cousin's wedding in October," or even, "When we have a place one day." And if you are not paying close attention, you might just nod and keep moving. But what she just did in that moment is huge. She placed you inside her imagined future. Psychologically, that is a very big deal. Human beings do not easily build mental futures around people they feel uncertain about. The mind protects itself from disappointment by keeping emotional possibilities limited when there is doubt. So when she begins naturally imagining a future that includes you, it means her mind has already started accepting you as part of her long-term emotional world. Relationship researchers often refer to this as future integration, and it is one of the clearest signs of real emotional investment. She is not simply enjoying you in the present. She is planning around you, hoping around you, dreaming around you. And here is where many men unknowingly damage the connection. They dismiss those moments. They laugh them off. They avoid engaging because it feels too serious or too emotionally loaded. She says, "We should go to Italy one day." And he replies, Let us survive this week first. On the surface, it sounds playful, but emotionally, she does not experience it as playful. She experiences it as not being received. And over time, if that keeps happening, she starts sharing less of those future visions. Not because she stopped wanting you in them, but because it no longer feels safe to hope out loud with you. So here is one simple move that makes a massive difference. When she includes you in her future, meet her there emotionally. You do not need to promise anything you cannot guarantee. You do not need to plan the next 5 years. You simply need to step into the emotional moment with her. She says, "We should go there next summer," and you say, "That would actually be amazing. I can already picture it." That is powerful because what you just communicated is, "I see it too." And shared vision is one of the deepest ways intimacy grows over time. Now ask yourself honestly, has she ever casually talked about a future that included you? And if she did, how did you respond? Because moments like that quietly build or break connection. And if this is making you see things differently, drop the word aware in the comments and let me know you are starting to catch what most men miss. Now we go even deeper because the next thing she shares requires a level of trust many relationships never reach. And honestly, this is where a lot of men fail her badly. Her past relationship pain. When a woman opens up about how she was treated before you, that conversation is almost never just about the past. It is about fear. It is about patterns. It is about emotional scars she still carries, whether she says that directly or not. She may tell you about betrayal, about being lied to, about being cheated on, about being emotionally neglected, about loving someone who did not know how to love her back. But what she is really doing is something much more vulnerable than simply telling a story. She is handing you a map of everything that hurt her, so you do not unknowingly walk the same path. And that takes courage, because to share that pain, she has to reopen emotional doors she worked very hard to close. She has to trust that you will not judge her for staying too long, loving too deeply, or missing the red flags she now sees so clearly. Most of all, she has to trust that you will not become another version of the same pain. Vulnerability researchers describe this as emotional exposure under uncertainty. She does not know how you will hold what she is giving you, and your response shapes more than you realize. Listen carefully here, because this matters. One of the worst things you can say in that moment is, "I'm not your ex." Logically, that may be true. Emotionally, it is empty. It does not validate what she went through. It does not acknowledge the impact it had on her nervous system, her trust, or the way she now approaches love. What she needs is not defense. She needs emotional understanding. Something like, "That must have been really painful. I can understand why that stayed with you." That kind of response tells her you are not just hearing words, you are hearing meaning. And when a woman feels deeply understood, her defenses soften in a way that words alone cannot describe. Imagine she tells you about being cheated on. There is a pause after she says it. Maybe she laughs a little to downplay it. Maybe she minimizes it because she is afraid of sounding too emotional. But underneath that moment is an unspoken question. Are you going to do that to me too? She may never ask it directly, but it is there. And the way you respond becomes your answer, not just in that conversation, but in the consistency of your actions over time. Because trust is never built in one perfect sentence, it is built in repeated moments where your behavior proves your emotional awareness is real. Now, here is something important. When she shares her past pain, she is not asking you to carry it for her. She is asking you to be aware of it. And if you can understand that difference, you become someone she can actually imagine building something real with. Now, the next thing she shares might make you smile. It might even seem small or random at first, but do not underestimate it, because this one is quietly one of the purest forms of intimacy, her embarrassing habits and guilty pleasures. When a woman starts revealing the weird, unfiltered, slightly ridiculous little things about herself, pay close attention, because this is not random. This is intimacy without performance. She might admit that she rewatches the same comfort show over and over again. She might tell you she talks to her pet like it is a human being. She might confess she eats cereal at midnight standing in the kitchen, or that she has a private playlist she listens to when she cries. These things may seem small, but emotionally they are not, because they are not polished, they are not impressive, they are not curated, they are real. If this video changed the way you see relationships even a little, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Love, Lies, and Reality, and turn on the bell so you never miss the kind of truth most men only learn after they have already lost someone they loved. And I want you to comment below with just one word: seen. Because that word means you are no longer going to miss what a woman is trying to show you when she loves you for real.